listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's House of Cards After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's House of Cards After Show.
Well, we are back. House of Cards. Netflix original series, season 2, episode 2. Episode entitled Chapter 15. Back in the mix, I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, AfterBuzzers, and joining me today is...
Hey guys, Emma K.
Hi, Sofia Stanley.
Hey, this is Nesta Garrick.
So, let's get right into it. We are going to start from where we left off. Going to episode 2.
Not bringing Zoe with us.
The train continues without her.
That was love.
Choo-choo.
That's funny. So, we start off at Frank's home, that he insisted on not taking the normal presidential, vice presidential residence and making his home the vice president. I want to talk about this last episode because he insisted on having his own home. He told this head of Secret Service, like, you need to do whatever you need to do then because I'm staying where I'm staying. So do what you got to do security-wise to security-proof the home. And now there's all this construction going on at the home, and they're actually preparing for the private swearing in, which I've got a theory about why he, it was more like on a symbolic type of level, why he decided to have a private swearing in instead of, I just kind of feel like he knows deep down on a spiritual level how he got there. He's beating the system, and he believes in beating the system, but he's abusing the system because he's in a position of power, like on a whole nother level. Right. So, why have a public? I don't think Frank wants to submit to public scrutiny, because everybody's not going to necessarily agree with that. Well, you got to think, obviously, everybody's not going to agree with how did this guy become? What happened to the old guy? That's when they do it. I'm sure he's dealing with enough as it is, but to make it public, he might have to deal with people in his face, or there's people always.
But just like what he said, look at him, a heartbeat away from the president without one single vote.
But I think with him, he always pushes the envelope to the max, to the limit, and no one else would have thought about not moving into the community or the house that they have for the vice president. I don't think it would have crossed anyone's mind to go to that step and say, no, I'm staying in my own home. So he likes challenging whatever it is. He needs to do it his own way, on his own terms, to make sure he knows where the cameras are located. Mm-hmm. He already knows his own house. So
it's headquarters.
He has things that are going on in that house, and he needs to know where everything is. And what better place than his own home? And I don't think he really cares about the vice presidency. That's why he's not making a big deal, because he has the ultimate goal in mind, where he wants to be.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vice presidency is just a step. It's just another step. He obviously doesn't care about it because he's just as manipulative and powerful now as he was, a little bit ago.
And he still has some throats he still got to cut. There was still, from the first season, there were some people, some high people involved that now you're kind of seeing coming back into play, like Tusk, who was one of the key people that made him not be able to get that promotion to be Secretary of State in the first season.
Right.
So it's pretty interesting now they're bringing him back into play with this whole international China trade issue.
Big business in China. We have a lot going on with China. They bought our national debt, right? So there's a lot that we have riding economically with China, and economics always falls back on big business, and that's where the economy rolls from. So, this guy is a multi-billionaire. This character, Raymond Tusk, he is the guy when it comes to energy and a number of other things that have to do with international relations. Obviously, in China, he has obviously a hub of business relations in China, and that is going to affect his business, Tusk Industries or whatever it's called, but it's going to affect his business to a great degree.
But isn't that also crazy how just all of a sudden within the show how it got sworn in as vice presidency and it got okay, first meeting, all right, hey, we got to deal with this stuff with China real quick. I mean, he just pretty much fell right into his position right away. And
well, they've had their agendas of what they have to do, just like Claire, she had to pick up where the other vice president's wife took off, left off. So it's the same thing with him, but more of going to the White House was very strategic, knowing that Tusk was going to be there. He had to. That was really important for him to be there while he's meeting with the president. So it was like going into the role right away.
I agree with you, but I don't, because again, let's be clear, Matthews wouldn't have been in the room.
Which was why I think the president was shocked when he showed up. Did you see his face when he was like, "Oh, okay,
exactly.
come on
Matthews is the former vice president." So I agree with you, but not in the same point that he's just picking up where the previous person left off. Claire is picking up and doing events that the former first vice president,
first second lady.
I don't think this meeting was on the calendar. I'm just saying, he's picking up his role, but he made it a point to be there because that is part of the role of the vice president. But Matthews wasn't doing it.
Exactly, and
Matthews wasn't involved.
Exactly, and notice that literally it's technically 2 against 2. Right? So it's Tusk and the president, right? And Catherine Durant, who's the Secretary of State, who he maneuvered to get her position, and him.
You got to also remember that the head of the Black Caucus is in that meeting as well.
Oh, wait. Are we talking about different meetings? Are we
What's
talking about
the first meeting?
No,
I
thought we were talking about the China
second.
meeting. You're talking about the one with Terry Womack and Bob.
Yes, okay.
We're talking about the second meeting, right? The second meeting with China, right? So
right.
it's Tusk, the president, Catherine, and Frank.
Exactly.
Right?
You're right.
And even notice the positioning, because I think they're just great. So the president's standing, so he's obviously at the head of the room. But still, Frank is still directly in front of him, sitting in a relaxed position.
Right.
And then you have Tusk and Catherine. Right. So he seems as if he's in alignment with Tusk, but we then know the next scene that he's really in alignment with Catherine.
Right.
And the president is really a non-factor. And kind of going back to the whole private ceremony.
The president's a softie.
He's a softie. And Frank acknowledges the fact that he's a popular president, but doesn't respect him.
Right.
So even notice in that room, he's already won. Because it's 2 against 1.
Right.
And that's why I think everything that plays out leads to the fact that people who potentially were underestimating Frank are no longer doing so, but there is a certain element of Frank that likes to stay under radar and likes people not to see his power. And I think that's part of the reason why there wasn't a public ceremony.
Right.
He likes to go under radar. That's where he exists best.
But they still have respect for him. That's one thing that they don't have for the president. Even Tusk calling the president by his first name.
Right.
Frank mentions that he doesn't really see him beyond as a friend. Like he doesn't have any respect. But when he calls Frank,
I even told him that he's easy to be manipulated.
But when he calls Frank, he says, okay, goodbye, Mr. Vice President. So he's acknowledging the power that he has. Now he just needs to play the right moves to align himself with.
Yeah, most definitely. He has to align himself properly. If you think about a man like Raymond Tusk, he, a guy who's somewhat country and who's in the position that he's in and is powerful. Powerful as he is, he didn't get there by accident. So the guy who can call the president, like, look, blah, 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 and he probably helped the president come into office or whatever.
That's what he said. Like, look at it. I mean, if he could easily make a phone call and he was the main reason that Frank was vice president. If it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have gotten the vice presidency. He was the main reason that he didn't get Secretary of the State. It shows that his powers, and within the, and then I said, like, out of all the people you watch within the show, he's the only person that you see that's right beside the president. Right. That has that easy phone call task. I mean, I'm sorry. In this day and age, whoever's right beside President Obama is a pretty reliable big source. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I think definitely what's happening now, what I'm even seeing is the frustration, though, of Tusk, sorry. See, I'm Turk is Caicos.
You're thinking about going on vacation?
I'm thinking about going on vacation. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be in a suitcase and out. watch the rest of these episodes.
But if you remember, if you look at the tone of how that that scene played out, it was very a la Linda Vasquez from season 1 when the president met with Linda Vasquez, and Linda thought that Frank was aligning with her because they met about what was going to go on and how that meeting was going to transpire. And as soon as Frank had an opportunity to open his mouth, he says the exact opposite thing. And Linda looks at him, and that's the same thing that happened with Kathy.
Kathy did a little bit better of a job of holding it in, I think, but keep going.
Right, well, she's Secretary of State, so she's got to her position by being a G. And being a female at that position, she's pretty savvy herself on politics. And he manipulated that situation. He's back up to his old tricks. Just like right after the private swearing in, he had a meeting with 2 congressmen who are vying to become the whip.
Yep.
When the whole time he's going to Jackie Sharp to be the whip.
Right.
It's the same thing he did with Russo.
Yep.
I just hope that one of these guys doesn't end up in the car dead from carbon monoxide poisoning.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
But then Jackie.
I mean, he's showing everybody this when he's really doing something else. It's the same thing that he did with Russo. He's doing the same exact thing, but it's like, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
One thing I like about this season 2 as well, I think it was definitely, as I said, it was a very great introduction to Jackie Sharp. Because I mean, when I watched the first episode of season 2, I was like, okay, who's this broad anyway? You know, like, how come she just come into place and Frank is just so like into her? You know,
right?
And when she asked that question, I was like, okay, all right. I don't get it. Like, you gotta let me know. I know there has to be some play to this, and why. And when he pretty much broke down that, just the way that he handled the war, and just that she will do anything, no matter what, to get the job done. It's like what you said about Meech and Stamper and all those people. It's like he almost like says like, this person is bred to do whatever they want to do to get to the top. And if I just give them a little push, I would be able to be into my best interest, which goes down to fast forward when she goes down in the end of the episode with when she realizes that the only way to get the extra votes is that she has to give up the guy Ted who helped funded her campaign to go for Congress.
Who was like her father figure.
Who was like a father figure.
Right.
To give up like, well, we're gonna I'm gonna have to put you out there that you have a dysfunctional, daughter you've been hiding all this time.
Right.
And sorry, I'm letting you know that the reason why I'm doing this is because this guy here is going to give me a spot, and yeah, he just wants to see you burn. But I hope you understand that I'm doing this for power, and I still love you.
But he needs people like that. He's aligning people for a reason, just like Christina, bringing her into the White House. Everything is for a reason, because now people like Linda Vasquez they need to be thankful for their job, ultimately, for the end goal when he becomes president, which we all hope he does, or...
I don't want this guy. I am not rooting for this guy. I am not rooting for Frank.
No, that's a good point, because, and I brought this up season 1, and I think I was like probably the only person in the free world who did not realize that Frank's end goal was to be the president of the United States of America. Remember that? I'm bringing it up again. I still don't see it. Like, I don't see how he's going to do this, because again, they don't waste scenes. So you have Rachel Maddow on the news basically saying, like, this is really underwhelming. Private ceremony. Not only was it a private ceremony, the president of the United States of America wasn't there.
Right.
So it's one thing to have it private. It's another thing that you had it when the president of the United States wasn't even in the country. Doesn't that seem a little weird?
And he just doesn't care for him, though.
But still, in the same point. So 2016 is the president's next election. It's not, 2016 isn't Frank's next opportunity. 2016 is the next time that the president's going to run. So presumably, the president keeps Frank on the ticket.
But even during that, even when you go into the next run, a vice president can run against it.
Anybody can run. And
Anybody can run.
And just like the former Vice President Matthews stepped aside and he inducted Frank, that the vice president can put somebody else on the ticket for the next one.
I agree with you.
He can put somebody else on the ticket.
The only way that the vice president can supersede the president, like head to head, is if the president dies. There is no way that any political party with a president that came in as popular as he came in, Gareth, right? Came in, is going to now, the party's going to split, and you're going to push out an incumbent president?
Nixon?
Well, because there was scandal. So unless Frank, and that's where I'm going. So I haven't completed it, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I'm really asking, how is he going to do this?
Well,
How is
okay.
he going
Well,
to
being
become
right
president of the
now-
United States
not
of America?
not saying that it's traditional. It's obviously not traditional. It's allowable that he is allowed to run against the president as the vice president I mean, not as the vice president obviously, but he will fall off of
because he can step
off the
away
Garrett
from
ticket.
it.
He will step
Okay.
away from vice president, and then he could run for president if he so chooses.
Right,
that
but you
doesn't
still
mean
have
he
to
has
split
to.
the party. You get what I'm trying to say? Because at the end of the
Right.
day, you still have, because let's assume that, what are we assuming that the president is? Democrat?
Yes.
Right? So we're assuming they're Democrats. So, right, he has to split the party. So you're telling me that the Democrats are going to fight amongst themselves, just like the whip race, right? So Frank's going to say, I think that the current president, who is part of my party, who appointed me to be vice president, is so incompetent that I have to run head-to-head against him in 2016.
Or not necessarily run head to head, but have their party, the DNC, choose him over.
And
to
again,
just
you
work.
really think, and I'm asking.
I'm not saying I think. I'm saying what I think Frank thinks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
At the end of the day, we're going
Okay.
where Frank's going with this.
Okay.
You know?
Part of
Okay.
being in the taking the role of the vice presidency is to get that much closer to him. Anything we know from Frank Underwood is that he will use everything and anything against
Okay.
you.
To manipulate the situation.
What better way to get his secrets or to get his strategies
his buddy.
than
Okay.
to be his
Okay.
right hand?
Okay.
Except Linda Vasquez.
It's steps, baby. Steps.
Okay.
Steps to the
Okay.
war.
I mean, you got to remember
Rome
this.
wasn't built in a day.
This guy's the owner. Nesta's
No, but he's right. But I'm still like,
He's
I
right there
don't
with
see
Frank.
it. I don't see it. I think the cards are going to topple.
I mean,
don't see it.
they very well may topple, but the thing is, Frank, he's first of all, he's power hungry and he's super manipulative, and this is his thing. That doesn't mean he's not going to attempt. He's going to attempt. That doesn't mean he's going to succeed, but he is going to attempt to manipulate the situation however he can, and he will play the cards how they're dealt to the best of his ability.
Because Frank is a little cocky right now. You can see within season 2 just how he even handled the whole conversation, with Tusk and everything. I mean, he just seems
Just a little bit, because he did ask Claire, "How does it feel to be married to the vice president?" And she said loud.
and the fact
exactly
that
the
even at
same.
the end of the conversation when Tusk had to say, "Yes, Mr. Vice President,"
Right.
It's like, yeah, you got to say that. You
Right.
can't just call me by. You can't call me by my last name.
We get a little taste of what Frank is capable of doing with the president by making him do the apology to China, because Durant could have done it, but he's like, no, you got to do it. So he told Durant, just do it without having it be what word did he use?
Sanctioned or approved. Well, because basically she basically had her delegates go in and bring up an issue and strong arm China when she was basically supposed to use a soft hand.
But I
she
thought-
then
Right.
But she
Go ahead.
said,
It didn't
he said,
work.
but don't do it like you're doing it intentionally. Like
Right.
just
Right.
play it off. So,
Right.
making the president now take the fall or like the blame, even though it's not that big of a thing. But
True,
still
but
he's not-
he did
having
the
him-
opposite.
But
did
he
the
wasn't
opposite.
supposed to do that. What
Exactly.
he was supposed to do was just go in and show a strong position.
Right.
That's what he was supposed to do.
Right.
Go in and show a strong position as the president. And then what the Frank does is he plants those seeds after he has after what Durant's suggestion did not work.
Right.
He jumps on the conference, that speaker call with Tusk.
Yeah.
And Garrett while he's in the office, and now Tusk is saying, look, this didn't work, this is what we need to do. And then Frank agrees with Tusk in front of the president while Tusk is on the phone. Then they get off of the phone call is over,
Right.
and then Frank flips. He flips and then says, look, maybe you should do this, in essence, but he of course manipulates that conversation, and even though he's still leaving a tone that he's agreeing with Tusk, but then he plants a strong seed in Garrett's mind because he's gonna blow whichever way the wind blows. It's just like he said, and says, but you know what, the decision's on you.
You see?
It's on you.
Thaddeus don't even have respect for the president. He called him Garrett. Nobody don't like this guy.
I'm gonna call him Gary, like his wife calls him Gary. I'm gonna call him Gary, like his wife does. Because this guy is just like, what the, I'm not,
No backbone at all.
None.
Man,
And
what do you think, Frank?
And you know what? He did that knowing that Garrett was going to screw up.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to make the right choice. And the choice, even if it was the right choice, he wasn't even going to go about it the right way. So he still wouldn't get the results that he wanted to get.
So you don't think that the beginning of Frank's goal was to get Garrett, the president, to do exactly what he did, which was basically take a hard line on China, which in essence was basically the first pawn move towards Tusk.
Severing
And
that tie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that's so basically Frank manipulated everything just the way that he wanted to.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Just making sure I'm
That's
clear.
exactly what he wanted.
By the
But
way,
at the end, it won't come back to him.
Oh,
you
completely.
know? So that's what I'm saying. By him being next to him, he can manipulate him and use him the way he wants it to go down.
Because remember, he's still in line with Tusk. So he's already presented an image to Tusk that I'm on your team. When the whole thing happened with Durant, and Durant said, "Let me take us offhand," and he acted like he was on Tusk's team in front of Tusk.
But we're partners, not on his team, because he made it very clear. I'm
using that like, you know, Tusk threw out a suggestion of how to handle. We need to show a hard line, blah blah blah, this and this and that. And she said, "Well, let me use the soft hand." Okay, I'm gonna agree with Raymond on this one. So now Raymond thinks that Frank is in his corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Durant is on the outs because her suggestion didn't work. Now he's on the phone. Now Frank is on the phone with the president. Not on the phone. He's on the phone with Tusk in the office with the president. Now Raymond is saying, "I told you it wouldn't work. This is what you need to do." Blah blah blah. Again, Frank says, "I agree with Raymond.
See,
this is how."
I took it differently. I actually didn't take it that Raymond was able to say anything. It seemed as if Frank was leading the conversation, and you could see that Tusk was even like basically right before
Agreeing
Tusk
with-
was about
Yeah.
to say something.
Frank came
said
in
it.
and
even
right
to the
off
point-
and cut him off. Yeah.
Even to the point
But
where
it was on the same
But he
page.
did agree to him, but he
They-
didn't
he
say the
did,
same
but
thing.
again,
It was the
but
same thing.
Again, but see to me there was a subtlety there. You almost saw Tusk actually realizing that he was losing his voice. Because if Frank speaks for Tusk, like if Frank is literally saying the same thing as Tusk before him,
I don't need to talk to Tusk.
then I don't need to talk to Tusk. And that's actually to me what that exchange was. Because
Right.
it literally was like right before Tusk said orange, Frank said orange. And you saw Tusk go, oh, crap, I should be happy because he's agreeing with me.
Right.
Then Tusk is about to be like, okay, and then we should do blue. And then Frank goes, blue. And again, you see Tusk go, oh crap, that's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
But
Right.
I'm losing my voice.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And again,
Because he felt because at the end of the day, Frank's whole agenda, not his whole agenda, but part of this agenda is to get the president to completely confide in him and for him to lose all trust in Raymond Tusk, because Raymond Tusk is that loose cannon that he can't control. This guy's in the private sector. Okay, he's not a politician. Okay, he's in the private sector. He's the guy who's always had the president's ear. So now what he has to do is, in front of the president, align himself with Raymond Tusk. So now now Garrick can look at him like, well, I don't always have to talk to him. I can talk to Frank because they think the same. I'm gonna get the same kind of advice. Blah 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 blah.
Exactly.
So that's why when he gets off the phone, and then what's Tusk gonna say? He's like, well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. what is he gonna say? So his hands are tied. He can't argue with Frank because, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, sure. So now why is Garrick gonna go to Tusk and speak with Tusk? But when he got off the phone, he switched it up. And then he left it alone and said,
He was like,
Garrick, I'm gonna leave it up to you.
you're the president, buddy. You figured it out, but you're smart enough to make the decision. But yeah,
But again,
you
I
already
think
planted the seed in there.
But again, I think it's really
He
telling
empowers
that
him to be tough.
And not only that, exactly.
Right.
Because he
In
played
his
to his
favor.
ego. He played
He
to his
plays
ego.
to his
Because
egos.
he basically goes, do what you think is right because the American people elected you,
Yeah.
not me or Raymond.
Yeah.
So again, he was basically like, okay, I know you want a little bit of power, and I can't.
And then he puts him here and him and Raymond over
Yeah.
here. So you think about it, it was a total brain manipulation.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what's so funny about, as you said, you mentioned some stuff about the show, how they just don't put things accidental, all right? So, as you said, they said, okay, put something in the meeting, something that would just stir something up, right? So the funniest thing they put in about this cyber terrorism, right? You're like, okay, cyber terrorism, which seems like it's a pointless, no story.
It's
It
innocuous.
was just to put it out there just for something. Then you fast forward down to Lucas, and Lucas is picking up on this cyber story and like, okay, wondering like, oh, well, what's this all about? What is the issue? And the guy's explaining, well, yeah, China uses this to go ahead and do illegal stuff with, illegal IP addresses and blah, 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 and access telephones and stuff like that. He's like, oh, really? Show me how you do it. And now that whole opens up a whole nother thing where now you could see that, okay, something about the telephone records And of course, the vice president, after he, like an idiot, typed directly on the internet, not knowing who's going to be seeing your text message that you would like to get records on the vice president.
That wasn't actually on his phone. That was
on the computer.
On the
computer, yeah.
On the computer, but clearly
They can still get an IP address.
Yeah,
yeah, but that's the easiest way. That's because you can send a text message on the phone and be using a burner.
Look, man,
burner phone and throw it out.
If I'm
IP
some
address
sort of
that
hacker,
says, look, that's that person.
Look, if I'm some sort of hacker and I see some message that comes up like, okay, this person wants to get information on the vice president of the United States, just like right out there. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I'm messing with this guy. You know, this sounds like some federal setup or something. Or I don't know. To me, just that step right there looks like a little downfall for this guy. But as I said, the whole thing I was just saying, it was just pretty interesting how that whole cyber story terrorist was supposed to be, for one thing, to just to mess up the meeting with the Chinese and end up opening a whole nother story with Lucas and...
Well, let's talk about Lucas, because Lucas is completely distraught about...
Talk about Lucas. Lucas needs to take a bath.
About the whole Zoe situation. And, you know, Zoe is no longer, and Lucas doesn't know what to do. He goes to see Janine the end of last episode, and Janine is packing up her stuff. She's like, I'm going to see my mom in Ithaca. She needs me anyway.
She's like, I've never done this shit before. Right. I've dealt with terrorism. I've dealt with everything.
But... Right. So Janine is out, which should have been the first hint to him to get out or to leave it alone. And he doesn't know what to do, because this is the only person that was, you know, giving him sex and companionship, and he knows something foul has gone down. It's just way over his head.
Lucas is an idiot.
I think Lucas was in love with Zoe. You know, to me, he was in love with Zoe, but he knew how cold and distant she was, so he was taking steps in the relationship. Just like when she was in the shower, when she was in the shower taking a shower, he was like, "You don't have to be like that. I'm not him," and all this stuff. He's trying to become closer to her.
I am not saying that you're not in love with him. I'm not doubting his love.
Right.
But I don't know, you know, when you put two and two together and you're like, okay, you know, Russo died, right? Then your chick died. Then this is coming from not no regular person, the vice president.
Right.
All your cell phones and data has been deleted and
right.
You know what? I ain't saying that you quit, but that's when you kind of go more and reboot, maybe rethink the idea back again, you know. You realize that this is maybe just a little bit bigger than you know.
Right.
But I think that's exactly why he has to move forward, because if you look at it, Lucas has always been the journalistic integrity that is important to the balance of democracy.
You're just setting Lucas up for failure.
No, but I don't think so, actually. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, Frank keeps laughing at democracy. Every single second. He laughs at the fact that the president was voted in on a popular vote. That's a good thing. That means that more than a majority of the people of the United States of America wanted this individual, right?
I don't think you just even respect Frank. I'm going to start coming with some FU
did he win on the popular vote, or was he a popular president?
No, he won on the popular. Remember the opening, Frank goes, he won 60. I'm going to make up the percentage. Let us know on iTunes and Twitter and YouTube, because I know I'm going to get it wrong. But let's say he said something to the effect of, he got 67% of the popular vote. Anyone who can do that, there's a shift in the tide.
Right.
That's basically why he says he no longer wants to be like a shoveler of manure, and he wants to get on the other side. Like he's basically riding this wave.
Right.
And again, we've talked about this before. It's the difference between the old guard traditional and the new guard. Lucas, to me, symbolizes both. He's right in the middle. He is old school enough in terms of his journalistic integrity. That's why before he wasn't saying move forward with this story, because there wasn't enough evidence, there wasn't enough substantial sources to really move forward. Now he realizes, wait a minute, this isn't simply just some potential congressman getting rid of a DUI. This potentially goes into positioning himself to be the vice president of the United States of America, and in so doing, he was willing to kill at least one person, maybe others.
Right.
The whole concept of journalism and the reason that the First Amendment is one of the most protected of our rights is because you need the masses and the people to every once in a while say, stop, even if that stop is saying it to the government. He's so integral that he cannot stop. I think they're putting it within the guise of he's in love, he's, his heart's broken. He basically is like, I can't believe that this person took away my girlfriend, my lover, whomever, whether or not it was real or not. It's bigger than that. It literally is that he now knows, just like Frank said, that the vice president who wasn't even voted in a democratic process got there by killing people.
Yeah, but then even look at it when he brought the old boss, the old editor in back when he came into the meeting. Hammersmith.
He enlists Hammersmith to help him out.
Hammersmith listened to everything. Hammersmith even looked at him from a real journalistic standpoint and was like, okay, what you could say could be 100% right, and you could tell that he kind of believes him. But from a journalistic standpoint,
would you believe you?
Could this sell out with no evidence, no tape, your witnesses is dead, and you have to find this miracle person named Rachel where we don't know where she's at.
But that's exactly where it comes in with the deep web. You're totally right. Hammersmith basically laid out to him what you need in order to move forward, and that's exactly what Lucas has done. Lucas is like, okay, then I need to find proof. And how's he finding proof?
He's making himself the target. When he goes down to the station to review the tape, they show him how,
totally
scene by scene what happened. And the police officer even said, even if there were phone records, it looks like she jumped in front of the train. So what are you doing? You're just putting your name out there for you to be the next target, like Rachel.
But isn't that what every journalist does? Isn't that why they have integrity and they protect their sources, even if it means that people can come up after them? Isn't that what journalists do in the fact that they actually literally go into war-torn countries? Yeah. So what, you think that insurgents are going to be like, oh, you're a reporter, I'm not going to kill you? Right. No, they're putting their life on the line to a similar extent as the military. Right. Why? Because they're basically saying that the story, the in pursuit of democracy, because usually that's why we're somewhere else in war, right? In pursuit of democracy, it is so important for people to know what's going on. I am literally willing to put down my life. Well, because I
would have expected
why he is like he is.
Yeah, but I would have expected Janine to pursue it more than he is.
No, now let me explain to you why Janine is not going to pursue it. Because Janine, when she recognized in season 1, and she asked Zoe, where are you getting these stories from? You're sleeping with somebody. And she knew. And you know why she knew? Because she's been there and done that. So she obviously, if you're bedmates or pillow mates with a number of, and she was sleeping with a number of people who had power, not just one person. Zoe was new to this whole thing. Oh my gosh, I'm sleeping with this congressman. I'm getting these stories, blah, blah, blah. Janine has been there. She's done that. And she's like, you know what? It's not worth it. And I'm sure for a fact that she's seen some things and witnessed some things that she stepped back and was like, wow, before when she was the young, hot reporter. Right. So as soon as she saw Zoe get wiped off, she was like, oh no, I know exactly what's going on. And because I'm this close, because we've been meeting and we've been collaborating, trying to find evidence and this and that, it's only a matter of time before. Janine is no punk. She's smart. Janine is a tough, smart cookie. She realized and recognized what level and the stakes that have been placed in front of her, and she was like, "Oh no, it's time to quit." These are forces and powers that we're not equipped to combat.
Yeah, not at all.
We can't. There's nothing that we can do. I'm out of here now before I end up just like Zoe, and you should do the same. I'm sorry, I feel really bad about Zoe because she did. She felt bad about Zoe. That her and Lucas had a moment when Lucas came. They gave each other a hug. At the end of the day, that does not change the situation.
That hug lasted like 30 seconds. She was like, all right, hug you. I feel sorry for you. I got to pack my bags and get the heck out of here.
And now what's funny is I feel like Janine represents a part of America, and I feel like Lucas represents a part of America as well. And with the Lucas situation, it's like open your eyes. There are certain powers that are going on in government. You need to open your eyes and see, like, how naive can you be? And then some of the American people are very naive in how they look at the system. You're looking at Lucas, who goes to the police station to report a murder that you think the vice president committed. You're going to go down to your Beach Street homicide.
I mean, it's still his contact, though. I agree with you, but it's still his contact at the police station.
But he went over there. He got like a whole Sports Center instant replay of the murder scene. I mean, after that,
I hated it too. She like exploded. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
that was horrible.
And he even, you could tell the other guy didn't even care. He's like, hold on, I'm telling you a trip. Let me zoom in real quick. Hold on. Tip, 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 tip.
Yeah, frame by frame. Yeah, so I mean, he's disturbed. He's not changing clothes. He's not showering. He's going to work. I think the meeting with Hammersmith was detrimental to him because it kind of encouraged him to a certain degree. It's one of those situations where someone's desperate and they hear what they want to hear instead of hearing what they should hear.
But he's acting with emotions, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not disagreeing with what you're trying to say and everything like that, but then, like, okay, when it comes to, like, professionalism and real journalistic decisions, right now, his decisions that he's making right now are pretty much based off of emotions, and that's what I'm saying. Even somebody, if he's trying to even get the same information about the hackers and stuff, I think that, okay, even the way that he had typed that could have been text out in such a smarter way to still try to find someone to help you versus than to be that so direct.
I'm going to say, go ahead, Emma.
And also to go up against someone, you know, not aside from being the vice president who has so much influence over the city and was able to alter a police report, you know, with Russo on numerous occasions.
Exactly.
It's like
it's got no joke.
Okay, and I don't know
This
the
is
answer.
going to be a final thought. Because
The final thought
we
is
gotta wrap.
I'm going to go home, and next time we'll talk about it more. The facts of Watergate. Because I feel like this is very similar.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, the journalist who broke Watergate was in the same situation. And there comes a point when you don't care about life or anything like that because liberty is bigger than life. So at the end of the day, Watergate took down the president of the United States of America.
But was the person that took down the United States of America with Watergate is emotionally involved in this scenario? That's
I don't know,
a good
but
question.
good question. But again, you can argue that it's still love of country. But great point.
But
That's my next
because with
point.
Lucas, it wasn't love of country.
emotionally
It went
blinded.
beyond the story. He doesn't care about the story anymore. It's like someone's killed my girlfriend.
No worries, Sophia. I'm gonna bring you my I love Lucas t-shirt because you definitely are like a big fan of this guy.
Oh my God! I mean, we're what, pro Frank and not
Turn him
nice guy. Yes.
We're sorry, guys. Sorry we didn't get a chance to have a break, but you guys can go on iTunes and you guys can check us out. You guys can comment. You guys can rate. You guys can subscribe on Twitter. You guys can subscribe on YouTube. And we can continue any conversation. You guys go ahead and talk to any of us. We're going to give you our handles right now on all the social media outlets. That way you guys can get a hold of us. And next time you guys want to call in and comment and rate because we had a quick episode this week, you can call 424-256-1729. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey. Where can we find you guys? Nesta,
You
where
can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nesta Garrick.
You can find me on Twitter at Sofia Stanley.
you guys can find me on gqjedi.com, Twitter and Instagram at Real Emma Kate.
And you can find me on gqjedi.com. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Club Thaddeus. Until next time, After Buzzers.
Executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV.
Thank you for
or its owners or
watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.